Okay, well, welcome everyone to this webinar. We are so excited just to have the chance to learn more tonight from Dr. Erin from Shaklee. She was so gracious to hop on and yeah, she's going above and beyond for us because she's a mom too, and nights are busy, and she's like solo parenting right now, so we really appreciate. And I told her I was like, well, you're in good company because a lot of us are moms and we get it. So if there's interruptions, like we are all about that. We don't mind at all. But yeah, so just a little backstory on why we're hosting this. First of all, my name is Amber Kuiper, if I haven't met you yet. I have been a Shaklee ambassador for 6 months now or so, seven maybe. Um, and last summer, I was considering Shaklee and didn't know too much about it. But one of the products that I tried first was our Meology, our personalized vitamins. And I have four kids, and I've always been pretty active and, eat pretty clean. But still, I just had a lot of moments when I felt sort of off or I had low energy and just was like, really, like, why don't I feel great? Like, I just felt a little bit like, gosh, I feel like I should feel better, for all the work I'm putting in, I feel like I should feel better. Well, I started to take these vitamins, and to be honest with you, I was a little skeptical because I had tried vitamins in the past, and I don't know, I just didn't really feel like they did a whole lot for me, or I just maybe wasn't as consistent as I should have been either. It was probably like a mix. But I was sold on like every vitamin. So, I would see like an ad on my social media and I was like, yes, like I need that more energy, sure. And I was kind of like at this point where I had a cupboard full of all these random supplements and I had no idea how much to take or when. And so I was just like totally a hot mess with all of that. Insert Meology when there's like this free quiz, it takes about 5 minutes, and you can answer a bunch of questions about your health, and it'll basically just say, okay, well, based on, what your goals are, here's what we suggest. And I was like blown away. Um, Started taking them consistently, and within a week, I mean, even I started to have more energy. And for sure, by a couple of weeks and then a month, I honestly felt just I couldn't believe it. I mean, I even now, having taken them for 6 or 7 months, I tell people I feel like a teenager again, especially when it comes to like my period, because I was at a point where like I felt like it took up my symptoms half the month, and it was just I just didn't feel great. And now I'm like, oh, it's that time. Like I don't feel as I think my husband's grateful because I'm not as like snappy, and all these things. And so for that, I'm so grateful. The energy that I have, less bloating, all that kind of stuff. And I find that a lot of people, a lot of us who have, tried Meology, we've had the same experience. And so we will hear from a few testimonials at the end of this. So you can hear from a few others besides me. But what I find too is that the whole world of like vitamins and supplementation can just feel really confusing. I know that's how I felt anyway. Like I would go to the grocery store, stand in the vitamin aisle, and I mean, there's just so many. It's like, how do you even know? All the labels claim to have all this stuff for you. And so I was, just so overwhelmed. There'd be times where I would go, I would have an intention to buy like a fish oil and I would just leave without buying anything because I was like, well, I have no idea. Or I would buy the most expensive one thinking, yep, that's got to be like the best one. And then it wasn't. So tonight, I'm so excited to have Dr. Erin on from Shaklee. You guys, she is so impressive. One of my first things that I did when I came to Shaklee was when I went to the summit that they have. Like they have like this yearly conference, and she spoke, and I mean, she's wicked smart. Like she has all kinds of degrees, but yet you hear from her, and she's so approachable. She has all this knowledge, and she really breaks it down in a way where you're like, okay, like I totally understand that. And so she at Shaklee, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe what she does is she helps to create a lot of the new products. She even helped to create Meology, all the science behind everything that goes in. Like she has a hand in that. And it's fascinating, but of course we know that Shaklee also has a huge commitment and like their top priority is to have everything be safe and natural and all of that. So, anyway, I reached out to her and I was like, hey, would you mind hopping on? And I said, we are just a bunch of people that want to learn more. we're fascinated by all of this stuff. And just kind of want like a 101, like pretend we don't know anything about vitamins and supplementation. And then also, to touch on like how, the whole why behind meology. A lot of people have no idea even what that like word meology means. And anything else, I think another question that we get a lot is like, how do you tell what vitamins are good and what aren't? Like why Shaklee versus like going to Target and stuff like that. But really, just anything that you'd like to share. And if you could like introduce yourself and, share a little bit about you and your family too, that would be awesome.
Okay. Hey everybody, Amber, thank you. I feel like so many things I was going to hit on you said, so we're like simpatico without even prepping here. Okay, so let's see. I grew up in Northwest Ohio. I've been all over the place, but I spent about 8 years in Boulder, Colorado, and then moved to Bozeman, Montana about 5 years ago. So I've been in Bozeman with my family. No, maybe not five, 4 years ago. And I have two boys, an 11-year-old just turned 11 last week, which is crazy, fifth grader, and an 8-year-old. He's in third grade, and they're both super active, big hockey players, big into lacrosse. Um, those are their two predominant sports, but we'll do anything, soccer, football, you name it. The reason we moved here is because my husband's brother has lived in Bozeman for about 25 years, and he's been begging us to come and we just made the move. So here we are. I never thought I'd be in Montana, but if you haven't been, come. It is a pretty special place. I love it here. It's such a wonderful community and just gorgeous. So make your way out here. It was a little cold. I think it was negative 23 yesterday, but it's balmy today because it was 30. So it quickly shifts and it's sunny and it's wonderful. Somebody loves Bozeman. It's great. Okay, so just in terms of my training, I am a basic scientist by training. I went to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. So if anybody's a Tar Heel fan, a basketball fan, I went to school there and I got my degree in nutritional biochemistry. So it's just basically when you eat food, what happens to it? How does your body use it for energy, for storing, for all the different things that your body needs food for? I worked in the lab and I very quickly realized I just don't have the personality to be in the lab all day. Like literally I would go and it was dark out and I'd come home and it was dark out. It was just like no human interaction. I just realized super quickly that I needed to be kind of spreading my scientific knowledge to people as opposed to in a lab working with cells and mice. So I've spent most of my career doing what we call scientific affairs. So doing a lot of science translation internally. So I educate all the people at Shaklee on the science behind our products, but then I also do outward as well. So get to interact with people like you and explain the science. And Amber, I need you to like be on my speed dial and give me, positive affirmations daily. So thank you for the very nice feedback. And then, so what I did prior to coming to Shaklee was I worked for a personalized nutrition company. And there were actually several of us who now work at Shaklee who worked for this personalized nutrition company. And Roger was really intrigued by it and he thought he was going to buy this startup. But instead, he decided to acquire some of us. So he brought us over to Shaklee to build Meology. So we worked for, and I honestly thought I would come to Shaklee and build Meology and then leave. But here I am 6 years later. So we spent about 2.5 years creating Meology, and I'll tell you all about the ins and outs of it. We launched it in 2020, I believe. And now we have Meology Prenatal, we have Meology Kids. We've launched, some new updates to Meology over the years. We have some really exciting things in the pipeline right now. But my former boss, who recently sadly left, but we have a great new chief marketing officer now. But she gave me the opportunity to kind of spread my wings in innovation. And so I also get to do, like Amber said, product innovation. So all the new products that you see coming out at Shaklee have my fingerprint on them. I work closely with our R&D team, so kind of pull out all of the science from them and try to, come up with as always, our Shaklee difference and bring them to you. So that's me. Any other questions? Oh my gosh, somebody asked me about this, my skin. You guys, I've been doing face yoga. Has anybody into this? Like do it. I'm obsessed with it. Okay. So I think the best place to start, and I don't want to be talking at you guys, so if you have questions, please, you can drop them in the chat. Feel free to, Amber, if you're okay, that people can totally unmute and ask questions. But I think a good place to start is always with why supplementation, right? I think there's a subset of not, and oftentimes even a lot of medical professionals who are just weary of supplementation and not sure about it's how important it is and who all should be doing it. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly and share this information with you. And I guess a good place to start is just this headline that, can you all see that? Yeah. Okay. So a large percentage of adults are falling short on key nutrients. And even like April said, I think those of us who do eat well, it's hard to get all the nutrition that we really need, that our body needs to thrive in a single day. So if you look at, and I can share some of this with you if you're interested, but if you look at average dietary intake, so of course, I'm sure you all are familiar with daily values. This is, what you see on labels. These are recommendations that different authoritative bodies put out saying like, this is the recommended amount of all these different nutrients you should be getting on a daily basis. And these amounts are really just to support basic health needs. So not for optimal health and well-being, but really just to support your basic needs. And I put in here just these highlighted in yellow. You can see all the nutrients that, a significant number of people are not meeting that daily value for. So vitamin A, the daily value recommendation is 900 micrograms. Men on average are getting 661, women are getting 600. And vitamin D is a really scary one. The recommendation is 20 micrograms. Men are getting 4.9, women are getting 3.8. So you can see that really just across the board, that the majority of people aren't getting the nutrition that they need from their diet alone. And you can also look at it from the percentage of people that are below the recommended intake amounts. So again, I think vitamin D is really, tells a good story. 94% of men aren't meeting the recommended intake of vitamin D, and 97% of women aren't. So this is where I think supplementation is just so powerful because it can help to fill in those nutrient gaps. So those gaps that you might be, I guess the gaps in your nutrition because you're not getting it from your diet alone. You said something, Amber, that we talk about a lot is people typically come to supplementation for those more targeted needs, right? Like, I'm not sleeping well, I'm super stressed out, I'm always in a bad mood, my energy is really low, my gut health is messed up. And more often than not, the reason for that is because of these nutrient inadequacies. That's how, deficiencies, how they display themselves is in things like, I'm sure you've heard of things like this, like goiter or some like very overt symptoms. But that's really rare in the US, fortunately. But nutrient inadequacy, so when you're just not getting enough of that nutrient from your diet, that often displays itself as those things that I mentioned. So low energy, not sleeping well, being in a bad mood, being stressed out all the time. And people so often come to supplementation for solutions for that. Like, give me something to put me in a better mood. Give me something to minimize my stress. Give me something so that I can sleep better. And so often, if we give them a multivitamin, if we help them to like fill in those gaps, they start to feel better. And Amber, you said all that. You're like, oh my gosh, my energy is better, right? Because again, we're filling in those gaps in your nutrition. And by doing that, you no longer have those inadequacies and you start to feel a lot better. Okay. Does anybody have, and I mean, this is across the board, men, women, kiddos, regardless of age, we're just consistently seeing inadequacies. It's even more prevalent in, people who have specific dietary preferences or restrictions. So people who like are vegan, for example, or are trying to avoid dairy, people who are vegetarian, people who are gluten-free, we see rates that are even higher in those audiences. Kiddos, like I said, it's challenging with kiddos, especially picky eaters. As kids are going through those rapid growth phases, we see even greater inadequacies in their diet. So supplementation is really a powerful way to help fill in those nutrient gaps. And we've done a couple studies to show the ability of Shaklee supplements specifically to fill in those nutrient gaps. And another question that I get often from people who are new to supplementation is, I'm worried that I'm going to take this supplement and I'm just going to go to the bathroom and it's going to come out. Like, how do I actually know that my body is using it? So we've done a number of studies, and I'm happy to, if you haven't seen these yet, we've done some specifically on our multivitamin. We've also done, if you're not familiar with our landmark health studies, just across the board, people taking Shaklee supplements. And what we see is that when people take Shaklee supplements, the blood levels of all the different nutrients from, vitamin A to vitamin C to the B vitamins to omega-3s, they increase. So it's evidence that if you're going to take our supplements, they're actually going to be, the levels of those nutrients are going to increase in your blood, and then your body can use them to deliver health benefits. And then on the other side of that, of course, we've done studies to show that people, or that, if you're taking Shaklee supplements, you're going to have health benefits as well. Okay. Any questions on that? I think, it's always good to just level set to say why supplementation is powerful and what it can do for you, and the importance of, really focusing on filling those nutritional gaps. And of course, it's going to help complete that nutrition that your body needs, but it's going to help you to feel better too, which is really important. So does anybody have any questions on that? Otherwise, I can move on to Meology. Nothing? Okay. Okay, so like I said, I came here over 6 years ago now to build Meology. And we learned quite a bit from our experiences at our previous company and really brought them here in developing this tool for all of you. And Amber, honestly, you hit the nail on the head. I think the nutrition and wellness space is super confusing. I mean, like literally, you can take a single food and like one day it's great for you and the next day it's bad for you, right? I think especially in the day and age of the internet, everyone's a nutrition expert. And we don't have somebody standing behind Google that's fact checking everything. So if there's somebody you're following on Instagram or some other social media outlet, it's like we trust anyone and everyone. And I think oftentimes it's like mom tells you what to take, or your neighbor tells you what to take or what to do. So we really wanted to create something that took the guesswork out of supplementation. And it's almost like you have, like me in your back pocket, or a health professional in your back pocket that you can really rely on, who is listening to you and not listening to their own personal experiences when recommending something to you. I think it's very natural for us to, whatever it is, it's like we've had a super positive experience with product X or with whatever, that we would naturally recommend that product, or, whatever that is to people, but we're all super different. Right. So I think that this is a way to have that expert, like I said, in your back pocket, but then them also really just listening to you and what your needs are, and then giving you recommendations accordingly. So there's a lot of detail that went into this. And I don't know if you want to learn all about kind of what's behind the scenes happening. Do you guys want to hear about what all happens behind the scenes? Okay. Okay. So how it works, if you haven't taken the Meology assessment yet, it's pretty short. I mean, it takes 5 minutes to complete. And we're going to ask you some really basic information up front. How old are you? What's your biological sex? Like what are your health goals? What health goals are most important to you? And honestly, the majority of the information is optional. The more that you provide, the more information you give the survey, obviously, the more personalized the recommendations that you receive are going to be. And then we get a little bit more personal as you go through the assessment. So we ask you about, if you have a family history of any various health conditions, if you've recently been to the doctor and you have access to your blood data, or if you have access to your medical health records, you can tell us what your LDL cholesterol is, or what your blood pressure is, or how much you weigh, or what your vitamin D level is. If you're a customer of 23andMe or Ancestry, you can upload your DNA data. You can tell us about your diet, how many servings of fruits and vegetables and dairy and fatty fish you're eating. So really it's a It's pretty comprehensive, I think. I feel like we did a pretty good job of getting a lot of information from you, but still at a level that it didn't take you hours to complete, and it wasn't super overwhelming. And we also, I think something that's pretty powerful about Meology, and this is very distinct from other personalized supplement offerings on the market, is we built this around our existing product portfolio. So what I mean by that is Shaklee's been around for almost 70 years now, right? So we have a whole portfolio of products that have, 140 studies, clinical studies backing them. And we wanted to be able to recommend products that we know work, that we've spent all of these years developing, and we have all this, incredibly long history of use. Whereas, what other personalized supplement programs are doing is they're creating products to fit the questions that they're asking, if that makes sense. So the types of questions we're asking are also related to not only what we feel is really important to deliver you helpful supplement recommendations, but also based around the nutrients that our supplements deliver and the different products we have to offer. Okay, so there's a really powerful legacy in the end product of Shaklee in terms of the product, or of Meology, sorry, in terms of the products that it's recommending and the science behind those. Okay, so how it works is, like I said, a lot of learnings from my previous experiences, but each of the questions that you answer, what we do is we determine the nutrients that you would need based on how you responded to the question. So for example, if you told us you only eat one serving of fatty fish each day, omega-3s are important for you. If you tell us you're trying to get pregnant, things like iodine and folic acid and iron are important for you. So we're really looking at each question at the nutrient level and what nutrients are important for you and the amounts that you need those nutrients in. We also do something pretty unique, and this is a precision-based approach to personalization, which I don't know. Of course, I can't see the back end of other programs, but I think this is pretty unique to Shaklee. Is our questions aren't like one-to-one to product recommendations. We look across everything you told us. So I'm going to change up what I just said. But if you told us, for example, that you have a family history of heart disease, and we know omega-3s are really powerful in protecting, helping to support a healthy heart, helping to, support healthy blood pressure and support healthy triglyceride levels. So naturally, omega-3s would be something we would recommend to people if they say they have a family history of heart disease. But then what if you also told us, like, I eat 3 servings of fatty fish? There's really no need for you to be supplementing with omega-3s because you're eating lots of fatty fish, which are a good source of omega-3s. So we really look across everything you tell us collectively to determine, and once you've completed the assessment, what nutrients you need. Okay, does that make sense? And then I actually have a visual of this. I should have showed you, sorry. Okay. Okay, so this is what I was referring to. So you take the assessment, then like I told you, each of the responses is tagged with those nutrients. So we're saying you need omega-3s or you need folic acid and iron and iodine. And then this is really interesting too, is we rank those nutrients hierarchically based on what you've told us is most important to you. So if you told us your health goal is to lose weight, or if you told us your health goal is to have more energy, we skew those nutrients based on that. We also look at, we ask you if you have any food allergies or preferences, if you're taking any prescription drugs. And there's a couple of different ways that we adjust. I'm sorry, I should have said, I skipped a step here. After we look at your nutrients collectively, then we map them to products. Okay, now we have your recommended products and, in a list. And then we consider all the different things you told us that you have preferences, for or against, allergies to, medications that we're taking, and then we adjust your recommendations accordingly. And there's a couple different ways that we can do this. We can completely drop a product from your recommendation. So if you told us that you are nut-free, for example, any product that contains nuts, we're just going to completely remove it from your recommendation. If you told us you're vegan or vegetarian, I think, oftentimes, and especially we see this especially with people who are vegetarian, that there's, your how you approach your I'm not vegetarian or vegan, so if anyone is, please speak up. But just in my interaction with people who are vegetarian and vegan with Meology, there are a subset who are willing to take supplements that may not be vegetarian, or people who are kosher. There's a subset of that group who may be willing to take supplements for their health, for their wellness that may not be kosher. So what we do is we create copy for people so that they can see that, yes, this product contains an ingredient that is not vegetarian, that is not kosher, and then they can make the choice themselves if they want to purchase the product or not. So I don't know if you noticed this, but all of the recommendations you can toggle off. And maybe I can show you once I get through this, the Meology experience. So we recommend them to you, but if you decide it's not a product you want to take, you can remove it from your Meology pack. And then we also do, and I think this is pretty unique too, is we make sure that the total amount of each nutrient that you're getting is safe for you. So there's something called the upper limit. And this is the limit at which if you're consuming a nutrient above this level, it can be associated with some potential, bad outcomes. So what we do is we consider all the supplements that were recommended to you, but then we also take into consideration what food you're eating. So what the average intake in the US population is for that nutrient. And if you would be exceeding that limit that could cause some potential harm to you, we remove products from your recommendation. So we're making sure that, what you're getting is absolutely safe. We also, I mentioned this, but rank the products in hierarchical order. So the recommendations that you see are in an order that really goes back to what you told us in the assessment, those products that are most important to you. And then I think this is the most powerful piece. If you haven't taken the assessment, pay close attention to this. If you have and you missed it, make sure you go in and take a closer look at it. But what we do is we pair all of your recommendations with personalized whys. And what I mean by that is we tell you all the different reasons why that product was recommended to you and what specific nutrients in that product are beneficial for you and why. And that's super powerful. This is why personalized anything works, is when people know the why, when they know that I should be taking omega-3s because I have a family history of heart disease and omega-3s are really powerful in protecting my heart, it becomes much, much more personal to you and you're much more likely to adhere to comply to that recommendation. I think we all know what we should be doing for health and wellness, right? But it's hard. It's hard to stick to things. And what the science literature tells us over and over is when people have that personalized why, when they know exactly why they should be taking that product or doing X, Y, or Z, they're much more likely to do it. Okay. So does that make sense? I know that was a lot, but did that make sense? Does anyone have questions about that? And I can show you. Let me pull up the Meology page really quickly, and I can show you what I mean by some of this. Does anyone have questions on that before I share? People fall in love with it even more. Good. It has such a special place in my heart for me. For me, it has a special place in my heart. Okay. So, like I mentioned, we do have options. We launched Meology for adults back in 2020, and then we launched Meology for kiddos, and we launched Meology prenatal so that's for women who are thinking about becoming pregnant, are actively trying, are pregnant, or recently had a baby and are breastfeeding their kiddos. So that's a program for them. But Meology Adults is the one I've been speaking to. Okay, so you can take the assessment. I'll just show you, view my personal plan. Okay, so right now there are, and we're working really hard on updating what this looks like for you. So hopefully in the next couple of months, this will look a little bit differently. But there are 2 recommendations that you receive, your essentials plan. So these are the vitamins, minerals, nutrients delivered in products that are most important to you. If you click on your Essentials Plus plan, These again are those same products recommendations that you got in essentials, but then also some additional products. And typically how it works, because as I mentioned to you, they're listed in hierarchical order. The products that you're going to see here are products that are really important for your foundational nutrition. So filling in those nutrient gaps. So those nutrients, that nutrition that you're probably missing from your diet. And then your Essentials Plus, this is more of those targeted solutions. So you'll get a multivitamin typically, some type of omega, maybe a probiotic. And then in your Essentials Plus, you're going to get solutions that are going to help to address your more targeted needs. Like if you told us you're having trouble sleeping or you're stressed out or, whatever it is. As you'll see here, this is that toggle I was talking about. So if you ultimately decide that you don't want the product that was recommended to you, you can remove it from your pack. And it's actually really cool. So see how Vitally is listed here. Our IT team did a really cool job with this. And if I remove it, it's no longer listed here. So all of this is very, very interactive. Even the subtotal changes when you add and remove products from your pack. There is a minimum requirement of $60. So if you get below that, it probably makes more sense for you to purchase the product separately. And people sometimes use it as that sort of tool, like learning what they need and then deciding how to purchase if they want to do it in Meology or not. But okay, so Vitally is the multivitamin I was telling you about, but here's that content I was talking about. So this is telling you really high level why this product was recommended to you. So to support your goal of healthy weight. So I must have put in this assessment that healthy weight was, one of my top goals. To provide nutrition foundation you need to support your immune health goal, to help energize you. So this is really high level. But if you click into product details, you're going to get a lot more information on why and what specific nutrients in that product are going to help to support, whatever that is you told us. So those are all the really personalized content. I know people are always curious about the supplement facts. So you can find the supplement facts in the product details, and then directions, and then any cautions. And this is typically, like I said, if someone said that they were vegan or vegetarian or starchy kosher, we would provide some information there. Okay, so this is going to tell you how many tablets are, or soft gels or capsules, whatever the product is, the cost per day. The attributes are shown here. So this product is non-dairy, nut-free, gluten-free, starchy kosher. You get a picture of the product, which is always helpful because obviously it's coming in, maybe I didn't say that. For those of you who haven't purchased Meology, the super cool thing about it is, I don't know if I don't have it in front of me, but it comes in a little box and then the packs are in a roll and you pull out a pack every day. There it is. Yeah. So Amber has it right there and it has your name on it. And basically you're ripping off a pack each day. And then the products that were recommended to you that you choose to purchase are in your pack. So it's super convenient, easy to travel with, takes out the guesswork. You don't have to, I know walking down the aisles of Costco or Target or Walmart or wherever you shop, it's super overwhelming. So this really cuts through the noise. And like I said, delivers those nutrients that you need and the amounts that you need them, pairs them with the content so that you know exactly why the nutrient or the product was recommended to you. And then it comes in these super convenient daily packs that you can take with you any day. Anybody have any questions on that? Did I miss anything in the chat? No? Okay. Yeah, and right now, this is another thing we're working on is we have a lot. Shaklee's product portfolio is pretty significant. And I think right now maybe 50 or so different products are recommended through Meology, and we're working on increasing that number right now. So I think new products will be recommended coming soon. Someone just asked, is somebody with diabetes, can they take Meology? Yeah, I think with supplementation, if you're on any medications, if you have any health conditions, I always recommend that you talk to your healthcare provider first. They know you a lot better than I do and than we do. So I think it's always great to talk to your healthcare provider first. You can always reach out to us if they have specific questions, but it's just always great to chat with them since they know your medical condition or the medications that you're on. Sure. Um, okay, that's Meology. Why supplementation? Anything else, Amber, you want me to hit on specifically?
Someone just asked, this is a great question. There's so many brands out there. Like, how do you choose? Like, why does brand matter? Things like that.
Yeah. And it's, I think, and I'll speak to Shaklee because I hate to say bad things about other companies, but Shaklee's been around for almost 70 years right now. And as a scientist, I think the three pillars that Shaklee is built on and has been built on for almost 70 years now is things that you should be looking for with, I mean, in general, with supplements, with food, any products that you're purchasing. The first thing I mentioned this when I was talking about Meology is just the commitment to science. Yeah, I've worked at other companies where I was super proud to say that we had one clinical study, two clinical studies, and that is something super, to be super proud of because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of courage because you have no idea what the outcome of that study is going to be, and the results are going to be out there, right? So Shaklee, like I mentioned, has done over 140 clinical studies on their products, on the ingredients in them. So we're very much committed to ensuring that these products work. And
Yeah.
you don't
I
know
bet
that.
he's going where Zach went.
You just don't know that across the board with other companies.
Oh, he wants to do grain, so he has to do nothing. And then
Somebody,
he'll get,
there you go. So I think it's always important to look for the proof behind the ingredients in the product itself. And and I could show you guys really quickly this too. So we have, and I don't want to discourage you from doing Meology because my recommendation is to do Meology. But if you're curious about any products that we have here at Shaklee, my recommendation is, well, let me move this look up, is to go to our site, so us.shaklee.com, and you can use, I think the search function is the easiest to use. You can also use some of these drop downs to search for products. But I just did a quick search for Vitally, which is our multivitamin. And this product page has so much information in it. And what I wanted to refer you to was this is a drop down section for all of our products is proven science. And you'll see these, superscripts in various places. So these are references that specific studies that we have done that support, various outcomes associated with this product. So, for example, Vitally is based on 7 clinical studies. We see, here, I was talking about this, elevating blood nutrient levels, and here's the studies that show that it does that. Also leads to improvements in biomarkers of health and health outcomes. So come to this page if you have any questions about the science behind the product and the ingredients in it. And they're typically listed at the very bottom. So this is the list of all the studies that we have done on Vitally. And we also have a site called Health Resources. You can use that site to, if you want to read the papers, to find the papers and read them, or you can also just drop it in, Google or whatever search engine you use, and the paper will typically be pulled up. So I always encourage you to use the product page. There's so much information here, really high level for people who just want kind of dip their toes in and understand what the product does at, kind of a high level. And for those people who want all the information, you can, expand all these sections, continue to scroll, understanding the benefits of the product. We have videos, we have link outs. So I'll get to this in a second because this is one of the other pillars that is foundational to Shaklee. The landmark health studies, I mentioned this earlier, but these are, 2 studies that are super unique to Shaklee, basically where we compared, and I'll drop let me see if I can do this, the link, everyone, to this here. So you can take a look at it yourself. But basically what we did in this study is we compared people who'd been using Shaklee supplements for a minimum of 30 years. So I think that in and of itself, the fact that we have people who've been using our product for 30 years really speaks volumes to, hey, these products work. And we really trust that they're of high quality. And we compared them to people who were using no supplements at all, people who are just using a multivitamin, and then people who are using lots of supplements, but from other companies. And we looked at a lot of different things. So we looked at nutrient levels in the blood, we looked at biomarkers of health, we looked at actual health outcomes, and just across the board, Shaklee compared to those comparison groups had, was significantly better in everything we looked at. And the other really cool thing is that everything was in the optimal range. So it wasn't just that we were getting people to, yes, great blood nutrient levels. It was in that level that is optimal for health, cholesterol levels, blood pressure, everything was in the optimal health range. So take a look at that link that I shared with you. And this provides all of the details of these studies, which again are super unique to Shaklee because I think we're probably, the only company that has that captive audience who's been using products for that long. But yeah, take a look at that. And then the other pillar that's really foundational to Shaklee is, so that's the science. Oh, and I should also mention, not only do we have the 140 clinical studies supporting our ingredients and our products, but we also have lots of patents. So over 75 patents. And I don't know if people are familiar with patents, but that's really speaking to the novelty of the products. We like to have what we call the Shaklee difference with all of our products, which really sets it apart from, other similar products on the market. And those 75 patents really highlight the uniqueness of all the different products that we have here. So that's the first, really pillar that's important to Shaklee. And I think when looking, just across the board at supplements, what is their commitment to science? Do they have the studies supporting their product first and, the ingredients in them secondarily? The second thing that is really, paramount to Shaklee is our commitment to quality. And I truly believe we set the bar for quality standards at Shaklee. We see, other companies really striving to get to where Shaklee is. The gap was huge, decades ago. And like I said, I think people see the work that Shaklee has done and really set the bar for it. I don't want to say the gap is closing, but people are appreciating how important quality ingredients and products are to customers. So we have, and I'll drop this in the chat too. We just created a landing page for this and all of the links that we go to ensure that our products are safe for you. So we do testing at the ingredient level. So every single ingredient that we're sourcing, that we're putting into our products, we do, hundreds of tests on. Again, to ensure that ingredient is pure, to ensure that ingredient is potent, to ensure that it's free of anything and everything that you want it to be free of. Once that ingredient passes all of those tests, then we can use it to put into our products. And then we repeat all of that quality testing on the finished product too. So again, ensuring that that actual finished product is free of everything you don't want it to be free of. I think it's kind of a complicated concept, but this is where, I don't know if you all have seen our Beyond Organic commitment. I know a lot of people look for organic, and organic is really about the farming conditions, right? Like what are the conditions that the ingredient, the product, the whatever is grown in. And that's, I think that's super important, but that ingredient is exposed to tons of things from when it was harvested from the ground to when it goes to A, B, C, and is put into a finished product. So that's really what we do with our quality testing is we ensure that the growing conditions, the actual ingredient itself, and then the finished product are safe for you. So that's really our or beyond organic commitment. And then we do, this is a question I get a lot too, is how do I know what the product says is on the label is actually in the product? And we have a whole team that does what we refer to as stability testing. So we're formulating our products to make sure that what we say is on the label from the day that it's manufactured to the end of its shelf life. So if the shelf life is 2 years, we make sure that what we say is on the label on day whatever 365 is times two. So we have a whole team, like I said, that's committed to this, who's figuring out what amounts we need to put in it when we formulate it to ensure that what we say is in it is actually in it. So take a look at that quality page I sent to you. We have an incredible team that is, really ensuring that these products are safe for you. And that what we say is in them is actually in them. And our team is also actually created tests so that are completely novel to Shaklee. They create tests in-house to do a lot of this testing, again, to show that, to determine that the product is safe. And then I would say that our last pillar, oh yeah, and so going back to the original question, I think this is something you always want to be asking yourself too when you're looking at other supplement companies is how transparent are they about their quality testing? What kind of stories are they sharing about their quality testing? And asking questions. I think it's always important to ask and not just assume that everyone's doing the right things. And then our last pillar that I'm going to steal a line from one of my colleagues. They say, Shaklee was green when green was just a color. So Shaklee's commitment to the earth is something that I think we all can be super proud of. We were the first company to be certified carbon neutral, partnering with a ton of different organizations to plant trees, to make sure our oceans are clean, using, post-consumer recyclable material, using reusable scoops and, making sure that, everything that we're doing is keeping our environment safe and clean. So we not only have a commitment to making sure everything is safe for you, but also for our environment as well. And then, of course, we have a 100% money back guarantee. I think it's Roger always says, our CEO always says the stat, it's like less than a tenth of a 0.1% or something. I need to get the actual number, but of returns that we've ever had. So even though we say people can return their product at any time, even when the bottle is completely empty, we'll still give them, 100% money back guarantee. People just don't return products. And I think that is just a testament to all those different things that I spoke to, that, we're committed to the science. And because of that, these products work. We're committed to quality. Because of that, you can feel confident that what you're putting in your body is safe for you, safe for your family, and also safe for the planet. So those are the things I would just encourage you to look at. We also, as I mentioned, have that Shaklee difference. I think understanding, our point of difference is always really helpful, and looking at other products on the market. What is Shaklee uniquely doing, and why is that important for this product or for the outcome that I'm looking for? Yeah, and just, I think, always ask questions. There's somebody behind every company, and if you're unsure about something, reach out and ask. You should be an advocate for your health and for your safety and for your well-being. And we have, a really knowledgeable and dedicated team who is always happy to answer your questions. Okay, were there any questions in here? Do I know when prenatal is coming back? Last I heard, it was end of this month, but I don't know definitively. So if I hear any more, I will let you know, but that's the last that I heard.
Yeah, I think this question of does Meology address menopausal symptoms like joint pain, weight gain, insomnia? And then one similar to that, was what's the best way to talk about that, with people who are starting perimenopause, things like that.
It's so interesting. I feel like I'm going to just do an analogy here. I feel like with COVID, it was fortunately, I'm very thankful for this. I feel like the stigma around mental health was, lifted, which I think was really powerful. And I think we've seen the same thing happen with women's health. Like my mom's generation, I feel like they almost suffered in silence. I don't mean to suggest that it's that bad that we're suffering, but I think people just said like, I got to get through this phase of my life. It's gonna be tough, but it just is what it is. There's nothing I can do. And I think people have just become much more open about it and willing to talk about it and realize that there are things that they can do, just like even one advocating for themselves, educating for themselves. We don't have to quote unquote suffer, that there's things that we can do to really help make the process more seamless. And I think if we shift our mindset, like it's almost an opportunity to reset. It's like a new phase in our life, and we can see it as an opportunity to like enter this new phase as, open to new things. But in terms of Meology, does it address it? Yeah. So we ask you about your age. We ask you about, are you still, I can't remember the exact question, but something around, are you still menstruating? And then, follow-up questions will tell us, specific, and I hate to use the word challenges, but, specific challenges that you might be dealing with as a consequence of that transition. So if it's weight gain, if it's joint pain, if it's, wanting to focus on your bone health, you're struggling with stress or mood challenges, that'll all come out in follow-up questions. So the assessment itself is smart in that, the questions that you're served up are going to be dependent on what you told us earlier in the assessment. So yeah, we do address that. But I would like to, given the increase in not that interest has increased, but I think because women are, more comfortable talking about it, I would love to create, like we did with Meology Prenatal, a path for women's health, or make it even more robust within Meology, because yeah, I feel like it's the primary demographic that's coming to Shaklee, or as part of Shaklee, are women who are, perimenopausal, premenopausal, just on the other side of it. And there are so many things, like I said, that we can do from a health and wellness perspective to really help. So yeah, send notes if this is something you would like. Send us emails so that I can share and say the field wants this, customers want this. So I can make it happen. But yeah, I was actually just looking at some work I did last year on this and how we could integrate it into Meology. So I need to resurface it. Yeah. Any other questions?
Could you speak to, we have so many different age groups, so I know a lot of us, yeah, the perimenopause. I was just actually talking to my mom because she's here, and she was talking to my grandma, and my grandma has like dementia. And so I was just curious, like, obviously you can't, cure anything, but are there things like that, like taking vitamins, does that help us or give us a better chance at like long-term health, even, that far down the line?
Yeah. You mentioned that you came to Summit this last year, and we're super fortunate to have Peter Attia. I don't know, is
Yeah, yeah, it was so good.
yeah. It is never ever too late to commit to health and wellness. But he really talked about, I thought it was so interesting that he has, his patients come to him and say, what are things that I want to be doing in my 70s, my 80s, my 90s? Like, what's important to me? I want to be able to hike with my grandkids. I want to be able to whatever it is. And he would do things with him, with these patients in their 20s and their 30s and their 40s, to make sure that they were set up for success later in life. And that's really what the landmark health studies is showing, is that if you commit to health and wellness today, it helps you to live well for longer. I think there's this, and this is shifting too, which I'm really happy about. It's like we assume like, oh, if I live into my 80s, my 90s, my 100, that's what I want. But what people really want is, quality years. You don't want to be bedridden in your 70s. You don't want to, be confined to your couch or whatever your 80s. You want to be active. Like you're no longer working. You want to, you want to actually be able to live. And so I think, really committing to health and wellness today, we see that, like I said, with the landmark study and, a lot of other studies, that little things that you do today, creating habits today in terms of the food that you eat, how active you are, the things that you do to make sure that you're sleeping well, minimizing your stress, connecting with, friends and loved ones. And, that's something else that I'm really proud of that Shaklee does is, of course, they sell products, but I think we look at health very holistically. It's not just, hey, you're stressed, take this product, but it's also, how can you, what are other things that you can do to really help support your mental health and minimize your stress? And that's all those things I talked about, like making sure you're sleeping, making sure you're exercising, making sure you're connecting with friends and loved ones, and all of those things. So yeah, there's absolutely things that you can do today that are going to have huge implications on your health and well-being, in later life. And like I said, I don't want anyone to ever feel defeated, like, oh, I'm, 70. There's nothing I can do now. It's like, seriously, it's never too late. If you make impactful changes today, you're going to see, effects. You said it, Amber, like just shortly after starting to take Meology, how much better you felt. And when you feel good, you're more likely to get out and exercise. You're more likely to sleep better. You're more likely to be happy and want to go out and hang out with friends and family. So I think, like I said, we all know what we should be doing. It's just hard to get like that. Okay, I'm going to do it. And I think that's where things like Meology are really, really helpful when you tie in that I should be doing this because, and then it's just easier to commit to that change.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was amazing. It was awesome. So thank you for taking the time to share. It's just so helpful. And like you said, when you hear the why, you're like, okay, I'm not going to miss a day of my vitamins, it just like
Yeah.
makes you more like excited to get after it. And yeah, so we have just like, I'm going to have four people share quickly. I know we're almost at an hour, but I just asked if I could call on these ladies, and if there are any men here too that want to share, please feel free. But if you could just share, I just asked them to kind of share their experience with Meology, just a couple minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, to share kind of how they felt before they started Meology, and then where they're at now. Maybe you could share too, like how long you've been taking it. So Colleen, we'll kick it off to you because I know you love sharing about Meology.
I mean, I do. For anyone that doesn't know me, you should just know now. I am our team's resident gut girl. So, quick version is this. Before Meology, I need you to know that I've had a total of 19 surgeries. Half of those were gut health specific. I don't have my gallbladder. I don't have my appendix. Since about the age of 12, I've struggled very seriously with what doctors considered chronic IBS. I have not made it to the bathroom more times as an adult than my kids when I was potty training them. And the last 2 years, my IBS symptoms shifted away from what was IBS-D with a focus on diarrhea. Sorry, people, I'm getting real specific. You're going to thank me later. It shifted the last 2 years, and I've gone at most 2 weeks with complete constipation, no movement whatsoever. I have unfortunately gotten so sick that I actually vomit up fecal material and wind up in the emergency room. That is how bad it was for me this summer and last summer. I've tried every prescription, I've tried every diet, I've done elimination diets, I have multiple specialists. We even did a gastroparesis, like gastric emptying study this year. I found Shaklee at the end of September. I enrolled as an ambassador October 9th. And as soon as my Meology came, I like 10 seconds, I took those bad boys. Within the first few days, I don't know what it was. And for a while, I thought like maybe it's just the placebo effect. And I texted my friend Christy. I was like, oh my God, I feel good. I don't know why, but I feel good. I wrote this down. So the first few days, I felt good. The first 30 days, I just, without changing nutrition, without changing fitness, nothing else, just technology, I just felt like I was leaning out and I felt stronger in my workouts, but I didn't know why. And I had minimal cramps. My first cycle on Meology, minimal cramps. A normal period for me, because of my gut situation, I would have a dumping episode so bad that I would be biting into a towel because of the pain. And then everything would just dump out of my body at the start of my period. Months 2 through 4, and it's January, so I think I'm currently on month 4. I have no PMS emotionally, no PMS. I have no cramps. I don't know when my period's coming because I just don't track. I don't track. That's irresponsible. I don't track stuff. Okay. But I take my Meology all the time. And then one day I'm going about my business and my period starts. And I have no inclination that it's going to happen other than that. I don't have any dumping episodes prior to my period. I'm not inflamed. I'm not bloated. I sleep better. I'm not relying on pre-workout for workouts anymore. I just drink it because I like it and it tastes good. And overall, I have lower stress and I'm managing it better. So for someone who's like gone from that, the freedom that I have, not worrying about what's going to happen with my gut situation, it's liberating in a way that I can't describe. And that's my story.
Gosh, you're gonna make me cry. That was so powerful. Thanks for sharing. Wow. I mean, so cool. I've heard you say it but before, but like to hear you say it every time, I'm just like amazed. So cool. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Okay, next up I'm gonna call on Susan. Susan, where are you? Susan.
I'm here, so I get to follow that one. Wow, really great. So I'm 64. That's my claim. I'm old. And so I've always been into fitness and everything. But before I started with Meology, I was just really, even though I was still working out, taking my other nutrition, I was just in a slump. I was bloated and just putting on some weight. And then also I was just so exhausted every weekend, every afternoon. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my train of thought. Every afternoon I was just exhausted, losing hair, what else? Interrupted sleep, all of that. And so anyway, I started taking Meology and the shake and didn't change anything else. And I could tell in the first weeks that this is really making a difference for me. And I loved it. I got down to my goal weight, which was just 7 pounds, but still 8 pounds. It just hadn't been there like in over a year. And, your pants feel different at 7 and 8 pounds. You just feel better. My sleep just recently kicked in because I started the nighttime mint tea. I love that. And that's like the other. Anyway, those two, along with the Meology, I'm sleeping good. I have this funny hair that's growing. I'm like, oh, that's okay. It's working, and my hair's not shedding so much, and I just feel great. My husband's on it. And then at some point, I'll have to share. Y'all have to meet my friend who is 71, stage 4 lung cancer, who just recently also started Meology, and she's like this phenomenon that just keeps ticking. I mean, she's had this lung cancer for over 5 years and just a health nut. So, and she is loving it too. She noticed right off the day. She messaged me the other day and said, I was tired today. And then I realized I hadn't taken my vitamins. I was like, okay.
Oh, that's so encouraging. Thank you so much for sharing that. Awesome. Okay, two more. Next we'll go to Nicole. Nicole, where are you?
I'm here. I don't
Oh,
know how
you
to
are.
follow this
Okay.
too. I feel like I'm gonna have the lamest story of all.
No way.
I am Erin's poster child though. So all the symptoms that Erin mentioned, I'm the poster child. I was exhausted. I would fall asleep with my kids. I have 3 boys. So it's like, okay, of course I'm tired, right? Like I chase them all day. But it's just like I call them my magic vitamins, and I'm not even kidding because and I will tell you why I know it's the vitamins. Maybe I'm going to change the story and turn it around because mine is so lame, but I was just tired, irritable, complete disaster, hot mess express. But I got the wrong box. My second box had the regular Meology, not the, because I toggled on and off. I'm the poster child. I'm serious. I'm the poster child. Like, I did everything she said. I toggled some off and replaced them with some of my Essentials Plus. And so I didn't get the D3, I didn't get the B complex. And in the beginning, I didn't even notice. I just took my vitamins. I'm like, I'm so tired. Why is that? And then I realized, I'm like, holy crap. So I called right away and they're like, oh my God, yeah, we're going to make it right. We're sending you a box. Everything is good. But that week, I felt awful. My normal that I was before I had my vitamins, where I was always exhausted and just irritable and just not happy, I felt that way again. And once I started taking my vitamins again, guess what? I'm like I'm now, right? So I know I can trace it back to the vitamins. And I keep saying I will die on this hill. Those vitamins are magic because they gave me so much life. And I will die on that hill. And I will tell every single person on the planet, because I don't want anyone to feel the way I felt before I started taking those vitamins. And now I'm not going to start crying, so I'm going to stop talking. But that's really, it made such a difference in my life. And I just never want to be without those vitamins again. I have a backup box now. Not kidding. I'm not running out of those puppies again.
Oh, it was so good, Nicole. Thank you for sharing. I mean, just amazing. Like, and then what's crazy to me too, right, is it's like I never would have thought this. I was so skeptical. I was like, there's just no way. I mean, we live in this culture where like, everything else is so popular, like these get quick pill, like get whatever, all the things. And like vitamins, like they seem sort of lame, right? But it's like, no, they they really are magic. So I love that. Thanks for sharing. Okay, one more. We're gonna go to Mandy. Let me find you, Mandy. There she is.
Hi. Okay, hello. So I think my story's kind of lame. But I kind of have a different spin on it. So I work out, I eat pretty healthy. I have been doing that for years. And this past year, I just felt like super tired, napping during the day. I'm also a mom of three. I have a 2-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old. So, I am chasing them around, but I just like could not get the energy that I have had. And so started the vitamins, and like you guys have been saying, symptoms just like kind of went away without me even knowing. The first symptom was my energy level. After a couple of days, I was like, huh, I don't feel so tired. And then I was skeptical. I was like, no, no, it can't be. Then it just like my period came and then it just came. And I was like, oh, okay, no symptoms there. I would get really bad cramps. And actually, I would used to have to like lay in bed when I was but anyway, so that kind of went away. I was finding myself not needing coffee. And like even today, like perfect example, I wanted coffee. I didn't need it. Got coffee, didn't even drink it till the end of the day, sipped on it and was like, I really don't want this. And then I threw it away, which was sad, but still, like, you don't need it. But I would say the biggest difference that I didn't even realize was happening until the past month was my hair. So when I would work out, I was actually telling Amber this recently. When I would work out, I would wear a headband because after I had all of my kids, like literally this entire crown was gone and it was still growing in, I would say, until this summer. And then all of a sudden, like one day I was like, I don't think I have to wear my headband anymore because, self-consciousness. And then I just stopped, like, and now I like, you can't even tell. And even in the shower, I've been watching people's stories and they've been posting about their hair loss, like not being so much. And I looked down at my drain after my shower, like it used to be clogged pretty much. And now there's like 5 hairs. And it's just like I didn't these things are happening that you don't even realize are happening to your health. And it's just super exciting. Like the confidence that the vitamins give you, the energy levels. And I also just said, this will be my last thing. I said, if these work for me, I'll give them to my kids, but I'm not buying anything until I'm 1,000% certain. I don't give them anything. like they're your kids, you want to protect them. And then finally, 2 months ago, I bought them for our oldest son, Cole. And so I feel like that's a real testament to it too, because I wanted to make sure that I trusted them enough to give them to my kids. And I do. And so he absolutely loves them. We've noticed a difference in just his overall well-being as well and his energy levels. So yeah, love them, recommend them to everyone. They work for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. That's so cool. We'll have to send Erin your photo, like the hair photos too. That you have them, other people have them. Like it's crazy. But okay, awesome. Well, thank you again, Dr. Erin, for joining us, for chatting with us, and I mean also for all of your work, just with Meology because it's life changing. I know for us, it continues to be our top selling product every single month, and we just can't share enough about it. And it's just so cool to hear stories like this. So thank you for taking time to share with us. We appreciate it so much. Okay, so we are gonna do a giveaway for this package. What I'm gonna do since we're a little long on time is I will pick a winner and we will announce it outside of the call. Okay. So, is there anything else? If you didn't get any of your questions answered, shoot them to one of us and we'll make sure we get them over to Dr. Erin. But we are just so grateful again for you. So thank you. Is there anything else that you want to leave us with as we go?
Oh gosh. I, I can't think of anything. I feel like the big message I would want to share is just like it's never too late to commit to your health and wellness, So little things that you do today can have a huge impact down the road. So keep doing what you're doing. Like I said, it's hard to make these commitments. So I'm proud of all of you for making the leap and committing to health because it's super important. It can have a big impact. And thank you for inviting me. I love sharing and talking. So happy to join y'all anytime.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Well, thanks everyone for hopping on. We'll have a recording available as well if you'd like to pass this on to anyone. Okay, good night.